My peace light shines when I meet love. I get my peace from high above. My peace is strength and shall grow strong. For when we love, it can't be wrong. My peace light shines when I meet hate. I give what I have, leave the rest.
Hello, welcome to PEMA, live from the studios of BronzeNet here in New York City. My name is Sheikh Musa Drame. I am your host. PEMA stands for Public Emergency Management Adherence, and PEMA came about a program as anti-looting right after the Louisiana situation, where we saw, people, elderly people dying and young kids looting. And we've decided that we're going to launch a program that educate our youngsters about the danger and the problem of looting in general and looting during disasters such as, Hurricane, Katrina's, and, even we saw it in Haiti, and we saw it in different Latin American countries where, people were pinned under these, cement and, trees and cars. At the same time, other people were busy looting. So that's how PEMA came about. So our most concentrated areas are public safety and quality of life. Public safety and quality of life. Therefore, most of the guests, if not all, that we have invited, are experts or activists that deals with public safety and quality of life. Now, quality of life is very broad, includes economics, social, spiritual, jobs and housing, health care and, mental health and everything. So today, I have with me one of the most active public safety individuals in the Bronx who have been very, very vocal about mental health that is affecting the lives and the quality, actually, of ordinary New Yorkers, because there are a lot of deaths as a result of, individuals with mental health challenges, diagnosed and undiagnosed, and, people that deserve to be, assisted, but unfortunately left untreated or left fending for themselves, and in the result, have committed heinous crimes against innocent people. And that is none other than the founder of I Am My Community, CUBAN, who's been here several times and has been watched by so many viewers and, have been praised for his tireless activism in the areas of mental health and public safety, and also community organizing in general. And next to CUBAN is a guest that really needs no introduction. He's a columnist, he's an educator, he's a leader, and he has done tremendous work in highlighting, the wonderful contributions of some of the most wonderful individuals that we have, and that is none other than Robert Golomb. So welcome to the show.
Oh, my friend, Sheikh.
Thank you. So now, CUBAN, just like I said, a tireless activist,
Yep.
in the Bronx, making a lot of people uncomfortable, making a lot of haters active, and people who love you increasing by the day because they know what you're doing. What are the latest that you are involved, with I Am My Community?
Well, I Am My Community, we promote public safety, mental health awareness, parenthood classes, and the anti-violence unit. So, it's violence every day in the streets, especially with the youngins coming up in the gangs. So we stay focused on trying to, get in the middle of that and trying to pull them to the side and get them different ways to think and, point them in different directions. Right now, we try to put a lot of young kids to go get their OSHA cards and go get their GED and, get in the studio and do things that's, more productive so they don't just sit outside and hang on the corner without, looking for trouble. It's like an old saying we used to say, you're throwing pebbles at the penitentiary. You're just waiting there until something bad happened, until police come and take you off the street or something. So we stay out there a lot and try to stay focused on the youngins and, you know, everyday struggle.
Absolutely. So you're also active on the Thrive NYC. So how is it going?
You know, Thrive NYC, it's a good program as far as like I went there and got my certificates and all that. But as far as like being productive in New York City, I don't really see them doing nothing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, $250 million is a lot of money for them to have to take care, you know, certain areas and stuff like that. And I haven't seen nobody, not even in New York City, with a Thrive NYC sticker. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and the mentally ill is still just running around everywhere, you know, on the train and communities, and it's really not no outreach work. So if they do have any Thrive centers or wherever, you know, I don't know where they at. So I could, you know, now, and I'm hard on it. I'm real hard and consistent on the mentally ill and trying to help them and trying to get that stigma away from people who say, you know, think, oh, they crazy and this, that, and the third. So I spent a lot of time, and I couldn't point them to one place that's Thrive been at, or I could say, well, I know it's a Thrive van there, or it's a bus there, or somebody's out there. So I don't see them doing really no work in the city.
So what would you credit to the lack of understanding from these elected officials to deal directly with individuals such as yourself who are dealing with these mentally challenged individuals, whether they are former drug dealers, formerly incarcerated, or gang members? Why can't they understand that, you know, you can do better than most of the people by having intimate relationship and knowledge, you know, about these people and their conditions? Why can't they invest in a small amount of resources to I am my community and I am my community like community-based organizations, rather than, you know, giving millions of dollars to out-of-town organizations hoping that the problem will be solved? What do you credit their misunderstanding about this?
Well, it's one word. It's called empathy. You know what I'm saying? They don't have that because the politicians is not from here. So you have all these politicians that, you know, they stand around and they're in our community, but they're not from our community. You know, I've been living in the Bronx for 49 years. You know, and I done lived everywhere. Everybody know me, and I have never went on a block where I could say, well, Assemblyman such live in this building, or the senator live in this building, or you know what I'm saying? You can't do that. Or the councilman from this district live right there. Everybody know him. If the councilman walked through the block, he'd be like a stranger. Nobody don't know him. You know what I'm saying? He don't know the people. So therefore, he don't know what to provide to the people because you're not a part of the people. You know, if a store opened in our community or a store opened in any community, name the last time that the local politician came out to greet them to the community. Like, hey, man, I see you open up a new store, regardless if it's a sneaker store, a clothing store, a food store. Welcome to our community. You know, I'm the politician, or I'm the one assemblyman of this district. I want to introduce myself to you. They don't do that. They sit in their office, and we come back and re-elect them again, and they do nothing for us. And they sit in their office, and we re-elect them again, and they continue to do nothing for us. They do nothing for our kids. They do nothing for the housing. They do nothing for nobody. All they do is sit there and collect a check, you know? So there's no type of communication between the local politicians and the community. Zero.
So what do you think we must do to change that?
Well, first of all, what we need to do, we need to get rid of them. We need to start coming up, and we need to start taking control of our own communities. We need to start being our own politicians. We need to start running for assemblyman and councilman and senator, because we know our community. We the best ones to know our community, you know? We know the people within our community. We know what our community need. We know what our community don't need. You know, it's like the same thing, like a lot of these people that they have on the community boards. And they'll get somebody because they was on the block for 40 years, but was you active on the block for 40 years, or did you just live here for 40 years? Because if you was active on the block for 40 years, then you should know everybody around here. And that's not what's happening. Because you go inside them community boards, and I don't be knowing none of them people. You know what I'm saying? And I've been on the block effectively for 49 years. So I should at least be knowing a couple of these people. You know, these are people that they saying what should happen and what shouldn't happen in our community, but they're not a part of our community. And then they stay and secluded to themselves. So when you come, they look at you like you're the stranger to the community. In all reality, if you bring them outside to the community, they'll see who's the real stranger in the community. You know, you're sitting inside these offices and you're not coming outside to actually help the people. You know, you got the community boards, they go out and they vote, and you wonder to yourself as a person in the community, and I'm trying to make the community get better and trying to help the people in the community, but every time I turn around, it's another hookah shop around the block. It's another smoke shop around the block. It's another things that we don't need. When I'm crying out here every day, asking them to bring something to help the people that's mentally ill, something to provide for the youth, like a daycare center, something to provide educational, so some of these kids that's hanging on the street can start getting GEDs and all that. They can start getting some trade skills. And we get none of this. But every time I turn around, the community board is okaying another chicken spot on the corner. They okaying another hookah shop. They okaying another liquor warehouse. We got about 9 liquor stores from Tremont. If you go from where our assembly, from where our councilman office at, and you go from there, and you go all the way down to Kingbridge, to where a little bit up to where our senator office is at, it's about 50 liquor stores. And I asked them how many community centers it is. It's 0. So we standing here and our politicians and our community boards is investing in negativity. And they bringing in negative things to our community. And they the ones that's on the board and they trying to dissect who should be on the board. The community should be the one to say who's on the board. Because we know who should be there. In the same ways, the people from the community should be the politicians. Because when you come outside, if you run this community and people voted for you, when you walk down the block, people should be greeting you and people should be knowing you. Now go away from the little kids to the senior citizens.
Absolutely.
Everybody should know you.
Absolutely.
Just a second, yeah. I've been writing about politics for a while. You and I just met a few minutes ago. This is the first time I've ever heard anyone bring up that issue. But boy, is that important. The number of liquor stores in terms of antisocial behavior that it breeds, the types of stores. And actually, you're the only person I've ever heard to bring, I never even thought of it. I'm not from the Bronx, so I didn't see that. But that really is a very, 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 very important issue.
And it brings,
How have you tried to, have you expressed that to these elected officials?
yes, I express that to them all the time, you know. And that's probably one of the reasons why they really, like, shun my group a little bit, because they know we on everything. You know, we're not holding back nothing. It's not like you can't, I'll go back to what you said when your last segment. I can't be paid nothing. You can't pay me to say, oh, the community is good.
Exactly,
No. You can't pay me to say, well, we're going to go with this when I know it's not, because I am my community. That's why I named my program that. I was born and raised in the Bronx for 49 years. I lived here. So I actually know what's going on, you know. So they're going to not, you know, they rather get somebody and fund somebody that's just going to let anything happen and you're just going to be a yes man than to come out and say, nah, this shouldn't be happening in our community. We don't need no more of this in our community. We need this out of our community.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's just amazing. You think about, let's say, some poor 20-year-old driving up the street and someone smashes into him drunk and say, where'd they get that alcohol? And on the one hand, we're trying to send messages out to the children, to the young adults about not drinking and not smoke. And the other hand, we're allowing those those numbers of liquor stores. And I frequent liquor stores, but to have that number there, it's just soliciting at that point. You're not even providing a service, you're soliciting people. So really, God bless you for that work.
Thank you. And then, you know, it leads to one thing to another, because, you know, first you got the liquor store right here, and then that leads to people hanging out in front of the liquor store. So now if you're hanging out in front of the liquor store, that leads to you're over-intoxicated. So now that leads to violence. So, I mean, it's all a cycle that goes down. So we got 50 of these around here. It's a pocket of violence on every corner that you turn that's being promoted by who? By our politicians and our community boards. You know, it's hard to stand on the block and you trying to tell a kid, yo, man, y'all need to go to school. Y'all shouldn't be smoking. Y'all shouldn't be doing this. And then they go, yo, okay. Well, look right there. And I look up and the store got a pipe taller than you that's promoting smoking.
Absolutely.
You know, now back in the days, they had that in the back room. You know, but now, and it was considered drug paraphernalia because they was using it for marijuana. But now they're using the same pipes and it's not drug paraphernalia because you're using it for hookah. That's still drug paraphernalia, man, but that's the same exact pipe that a lot of people got charges and criminal records behind. But now it's not now no more because, you know, you change it to this, that, and the third. You know, there's so much going on that, we need to have people held accountable for, you know, and it goes all the way from the politicians, it goes to a lot of these religious leaders.
Yes.
You know, I want to get on that too.
Yes.
You got a lot of these religious institutions that's around here that they're not doing their job. Now, if you call yourself a head of a religious institution, that means that you're supposed to be there for everybody.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Religion don't come in colors and none of that. It come from the heart. It come from everybody.
Yeah.
So if you got a church, why you only helping the Christian people in there? And why the Muslim people is only allowing the Muslim people in there? You know what I'm saying? And then you got the Jewish people only allowing the Jewish people. That's not a community.
True.
That's called you helping your kind. That's not called you helping the community. So you're not a community leader. You're a leader of your religion or your kind. You know, we go to a lot of these religious places to hold our monthly dinner. And it seems like we get there and it's, you know, it's a whole bunch of this, that, and the third. It's politics being played there. It's you want to see who's there. How many black people you got with you? How many Spanish people you got with you? How many people? No, everybody is coming because the name of my program is called I Am My Community. Yeah. So when we come, a whole community is going to be there. Absolutely. You know, it's going to be Asian people there. It's going to be West Indian people there. It's going to be everybody there because that's everybody that's within our community.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just 2 points. Number one, Sheikh himself had a mosque that had Jewish folk there, so he's the exception to the rule.
Yeah, exception. You know, it's a few exceptions.
Now, in terms, however, of the people, I think one of the problems with the religious groups, if they only had, let's say, they're given religion there, that might be okay if they address those issues.
Yeah, definitely.
But sometimes I think it's something maybe we might want to do. Look, there's a Protestant, there's a Catholic church, whatever. Please address these issues.
Yeah. But you know what more I'm getting at? Not really about really expressing issues. I'm really getting about when you come somewhere, right? It's called false advertisement. If I come somewhere and I say, I'm here and I got my religious place or whatever, and I'm here for the people.
Yeah.
And the people was here for me. But I never seen you come out the community and invite nobody in there. I never seen you have a dinner or anything and be like, well, yo, you know, everybody's invited from the community.
Yeah.
It's usually only the people that attend your services there.
Yeah.
And those are the only people that know what's going on there. But you're within our community.
Yeah.
And you're saying you're a part of our community. And whatever tax breaks you're getting, you're getting from our community. But what are you doing for our community? You're doing zero.
Yeah.
You only got your little people that you come, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like regular, you know, like you're a bloodsucker of the poor too.
Yeah.
You know, you stand there, you come into the poor communities, and you just suck out the little bit that they have left, and you and with no plans of returning anything.
Yeah.
You know, you're not returning nothing.
Do you tell this when you meet with these leaders, do you say that to them?
Yeah, tell them.
Yeah.
They probably don't invite you back for
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, like I said, I'm not here to sugarcoat nothing because at the end of the day, when I leave out their office, I got to walk down the block and I got to see people that I knew for 49 years and that continue to know me. Yeah. And they go, you know, like, hey, what's going on? I can't be no phony, so I got to keep it 100%, you know?
Absolutely. So Bob, let's talk about the two most critical issues, and you wrote about them: gun violence with NRA, as well as opioid problems.
Yeah, I've written about them both. Is that something that impacts upon you there? Obviously it does.
Yeah.
Okay, we discussed the last show. Yeah. The NRA has tremendous amount of power over the Republican Party, and all sane efforts to stop gun violence doesn't go anywhere because of the power of the NRA, and it's impacted upon the streets. One thing I didn't mention at the last show, as an educator, I had a student, this actually before I became an administrator, as a teacher, who I sort of adopted as a son. He was like very close and helped him get into a high school, and he was shot dead. And I went to the wake, and it was really very tough for me. And I said to the officer, I said, but you have gun control? And he says, these guns coming from everywhere. So when I meet with people who support the Second Amendment, which I support, but don't support reasonable gun control, and take the word of the NRA, that's very, very upsetting to me. However, when things go bad, it's usually not for one reason. So on the one hand, you have the NRA pushing that. On the other hand, you have many of the so-called liberals who are against stop, question, and frisk. Now, actually, the crime has continued to go down despite the fact that they've ended it. However, the crime rate, and I got this actually from the column I did on this guy Joe Kincannon before you published me, was going up dramatically in precincts where they have people of color. And then I have my own inside sources, they started actually stopping cars to help. But the point is, it comes from both sources. And just as one aside, something that really troubled me terribly, I won't mention the city council member's name, but a guy named Joe Concanon was a Republican running against him. And Joe's issue was stop, question, and frisk. Now, the point is, at the time, it proved to be very successful, and people have written about it. It's been successful throughout the country. So I spoke to the assemblyman who was an incumbent who was running against him. And what I do when I do interviews, I never want it to be hostile. So if I disagree with someone, I'll say, I want to interview you, but be aware I'm going to ask you something. I'm not going to ambush you. And thus, because that's not where I'm from. So whether it's Republican or Democrat, look, you're a Republican, but I have some issues with the NRA. I'm going to ask you that. They'll usually say, let's not do the interview. So this particular city councilman, I said, sir, I wrote a column about Joe Concanon, a decent guy, believes in stop, question, and frisk. But I want to do a story on you. I want you to be aware I don't agree with everything you say. So he says, okay, under the circumstances, let's not do it. Okay, 2 weeks later, I at the time was running workshops for teachers. College grads wanted to be teachers. So I had one very beautiful African-American girl, who was my own daughter. And she said to me, anyway, sir, I have a problem. I said, what's the problem? I lost my right eye. How'd you lose your right eye? It looked in my head, I was choked up. And she said, there were crossfires. It didn't happen when they had stop, question, and frisk. So now I called the city councilman up and I said, so I want you to be aware of something. Since our last conversation, this is what happened. You're a father of 3 kids. I'm a father. How are you affected by this? He said, just please don't include it in the column. And I said, that's all you care about? And he used the word I won't repeat here and hung up the phone. So that, the blame really goes around. What I really respect about you is your courageous stand in trying to fight that. So what, I'm curious.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Does that resonate with you, what I just said?
I mean, yeah, it make a lot of sense. It's like, it was about like 2 years ago, Musa, right? And they had to send the budget down from Albany. And it was like a couple of billions of dollars, right? And it was $0 for gun violence.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
It's like a money-making machine,
There's a reason for that. I got it from my column, which I didn't include in the column. And again, that column is, people could read it and try to press your elected officials. There had been from there were stipends put aside it was actually seen as a health issue. And there were millions upon millions of dollars put aside. Again, the column was 2,600 words, so I was included, but I didn't really have the space for it. The NRA stopped Congressmen from doing that.
Yeah,
so they were going to do a study to show that it was a health issue. And for example, in the cities that had tough laws, including you're familiar with the red flag laws. The red flag laws, suicides went down. And so they wanted to treat it as you're doing, as a mental health issue and as a general health issue, but they took that money away.
Dr. Sluckins, who started the Cure of Violence, that's what he going, saying that it's a mental health issue. But, like I said, violence is contagious. Because if I stand right here and I start getting hype, and next thing you know, it's going to go, he's going to get hype, it's going to slide, she's going to be, I'm tired of this.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to spread all the way around. It's going to be contagious. So violence is like really contagious. And, as far as the opiates and all that, like I said, I was born and raised in New York City in the Bronx since 1968. And like when we was coming up, it was when the blacks and Hispanics was on it, it was called dope. They was on dope. They was on heroin. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. But now that it's spreading over, and it's all in Long Island and it's Staten Island, and the Caucasian kids is on it now it's an opiate epidemic.
That's correct.
It's the same exact drug, but it's no different. When the blacks and Hispanics was on heroin and selling heroin, they was going to jail getting 100 years and 30 years. I was one of the ones who got 121 months. But now, when the Caucasians is on the same heroin that they call it opiates, I think they're going to drug programs.
As a fairly conservative guy, I think it's totally correct.
You feel what I'm saying? So
totally correct.
Yeah, you feel what I'm saying? So what it is that you got to start providing more for the people. Now, when back in the 70s and the 80s, instead of calling it dope and heroin, if they were saying that they was addicted to opiates, and the majority of them people had an excuse to be addicted. Right now, these young kids that's going out of school, you don't got an excuse to be addicted to opiates. But when you coming out of the World War II, and you coming out of Vietnam, and you done got shot and all that, and you coming from these places where they was using heroin for pain relievers, you have an excuse to be on an opiate, to be on heroin or something. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know, and when they had the excuse and the reason why, they shunned them down. So, you know, it got to be like back to where you got to want to help everybody.
Yeah.
It got to go back to a whole community thing. You got to provide the same programs that you providing for the kids in Staten Island. You got to provide it for the kids in the Bronx.
Yeah. No, I think that's
You know?
that's so true. Just as an aside, about 10 years ago, there was a math Regents exam that kids in Great Neck failed. Now, I'm a believer that some of these state exams are they're very tough, and I don't know if you need 6 exams. But anyway, it became a big issue when kids in my daughter's neighborhood, started to fail. So I really think it's correct. Where I disagree, I don't see it as a racial issue as much as a class issue. I see where people have money, they have influence, whether that money is white money, black money, where they don't have money, they don't have influence. That's been my experience. The other issue is that opioids, there's something legitimate about having painkillers. You know, and here it's been abused. But the idea, the other side, there are some people really need them for painkillers. But as you point now, in terms of the day-to-day street, are the opioids the problem now in your community?
They never left. I mean, it is like the heroin never left. Like the Bronx has always been flooded with heroin and people leaning on every corners and all that. That's always been a problem. But right now, what is the problem that puzzled me is that I see a lot of young kids that's like 15 to 21, 22, and they popping these pills. They popping the Percocets, they popping the Xanax, they popping the Oxycontins, and they popping them. And they think that, you know, oh yeah, I'm cool and I'm doing this. They don't know that they're actually getting themselves on heroin. And when them pills run out and when they ain't got that, guess what they're gonna be looking for? And somebody gonna introduce them to the uncut version. Like, yo, you ain't got try this.
Yeah.
And you know, and I one day I'm just Sunday I was speaking to my son, and my son is 21.
Yeah.
And I was
lucky to have you as a father, I'll tell you.
Thank you. And I was explaining to him, you know, the opiates and the heroin is the same thing. And he was just telling me that, yeah, you know, a couple of my friends be taking them, and they stopped and they told me they be going through withdrawals. I said, yeah, that's a heroin kit. It's what they used to say back in the days, you got the monkey on your back, you know, but these kids do not know that right now. So they taking these pills thinking that they don't know that that's all in the same category. That's all heroin.
Yeah.
It's just a slighter dosage of it, you know. And
so coming back to you, you know, your relationship, you said, with the establishment. What do you think contributes to you being pretty much blackballed? Just like I've been blackballed for years. So what made you join my club?
I think that, you know, a lot of times, like a lot of people, they be wanting me to like join a lot of their things, and I'll go and I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? I'll do it out of the kindness of my heart. But then once I really see that they ain't really 100% behind it, it's like more like I go my way. You know what I'm saying? Because I got one focus, and like I said, you can't pay me to come with the focus because the focus is from here and from here.
Yeah, yeah.
These from the things that I actually lived through and I went through. You know what I'm saying? So I know what need to be changed. You know, I've been sitting in precincts right around here in the 52nd precinct where they done chained me up on the pole and I can't even get. I'm like Kuta Kinte with my feet off the ground. I done been through this. I done been in the back of police cars in the 46th precinct where they done drove and stopped and got out their car and come to the back and hit me in the head with a gun. Shut up, shut up. I done been through this, man. You know what I'm saying? I done been in the precinct and got jumped by the whole precinct and they put me in a hefty bag and wrapped Velcro around and come carrying me out the precinct like this. I done been through these things. I done been through these things, so I know what the kids is going through and I know what the capability, what you would do to them, what the people would do. You know, where a lot of people think that, oh, they won't take it that far, they won't take it. I know they will. I know they will, because I done personally been through these things, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not talking from he said, she said, I'm talking from actual facts, and I'm talking about somebody that's trying to prevent kids from going through the same trial and tribulations that I went through, you know what I'm saying? So like they say, a wise man learns from others' mistakes.
Yeah. Perfectly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you're also one of the few, probably most of your peers are not around, I suspect.
Yeah, you know, the majority of my peers is either locked up, they dead, or they running around the street on drugs. And you know why? Because when we came up, they ain't had no me. They ain't had you. They didn't have Musa.
Yeah.
They didn't have people that would come and pull me to the side and sit here and talk to me. Like I talk to some of these cats, it could be 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. They know that they could call me anytime. They can come and see me anytime. And if I'm busy right now, I'm doing something, I'll tell them, hit me with a text. I hit you right back. If I be like, yo, man, when I get some free time, I'm going to call you. Brother, no, I'm going to get some free time, 3:30 in the morning. I'm calling you. Where you at? Yo, I'm coming to your house. And we're going to work this out, and we're going to see what we could do because, you know, time is at an essence. And I may want to, I'm going to get another hour of sleep or 2 hours of sleep. And this may be that 2 hours that somebody lost their life. Yeah. And I could have been there and played a major part and could have, you know, did what I could have did to prevent that. So, you know, every second is really valuable and really counts for me.
Hey, you read some amazing stuff, you know.
I try to make it like really, you know, count. And right now what I want to do too, Musa, I want to start a campaign. And the campaign is called We Must Know. You know, and I want to get this campaign out. And I want to get it worldwide. And I want to get like all the schools to get behind it and try to help us push this worldwide. And I'm going to tell you why it's so important. And the reason why I say it's called We Must Know. And the know is the KNOWW. You know, my daughter is 15 years old. She go to high school in Manhattan, right? Now, with all these killings, shootings, stabbings, knives in schools, little 8-year-olds with guns in their book bag, all this going on, we must know. My daughter, on Friday, in a school in Manhattan, 8 Philip Randolph, Manhattan, New York City, 2018, somebody left a note in a teacher desk saying, I'm going to blow the school up and shoot the school up. This ain't no joke. Nobody parent knew. Nobody knew. Monday morning came. I woke my daughter up like yo, get up, girl, get to school. You know what I'm saying? Me and her lay together. I got to get up and get her up. Get to school. She got up, went to school. They didn't tell her nothing. Monday, somebody else wrote a letter and put it in the females' locker room. Oh, we ain't playing with y'all. We going to shoot the school up. They still didn't feel like this was important enough to tell the students and tell the family. Yesterday, Tuesday, in Philip A. Randolph, she went to school. I sent her to school because I'm not aware of the threat. They didn't tell me. I would have never sent her to school from Friday until they found out what was going on. Or we would have been down there trying to find out what's going on.
So I want to know, because, you know, we both have responsibilities as writers.
Yeah.
So you got to, did anything, public officials are now aware of this?
Wait, I'm going to tell you. So now I went on all the way to Tuesday, yesterday. Yesterday, there's still nobody known. Two kids get in a fight. I guess they were the ones looking for each other. Yeah. They pulled out a knife in the school. Now they starting to chase. They chased the kid throughout the school. The police came. The police arrested both of the kids, right? Police arrest 2 kids. They supposed to be after some more investigation and all that. But the school people, they know education. Me, I know actually lived through it.
Yeah.
Now, if a person like us or me would have been there, and I would have known that, I'd have told them from the beginning, yo, somebody dropped a letter Friday. They wasn't scared to drop another one Monday. Yo, something about to happen, man. Something about to happen.
Yeah, wait a second.
You know, because I've been through these type things.
Is it possible that the principal reported it to the police and you don't know about it?
Nah, I mean, if the principal reported to the police...
Did they see a police presence?
But this is one thing. This is one thing I got to say again. The name of the campaign I'm trying to start is called We Must Know. If the principal called the police and told the police kid don't go there.
I get what you're saying.
You feel me? He told the police. The police going to be outside on alert. No, let me know.
As a parent, you want to know.
To send my kid to school now. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear after the crime.
I understand.
You feel me?
So your point is not that the procedures weren't taken. You don't know that.
Yeah.
Your point is that as a parent, if the captain knows about it,
we should know about it. As soon as any threat is made to the school, the parents should know about it.
I understand.
You know, it should be levels to it. Like they got levels to the terrorist thing. They also level 1. it's a level 3. Well, it should be a level 1 or level 3. Well, we got a note here.
Yeah.
We don't know how serious it is, but we let you know that it is there. It's a letter here. You got the right if you want to send your kid to school or not. You know, you got to give people, this is my kid. You know, this is our kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's all fine and dandy for the police to be there, for you to call the police, but call me. Because my kid got to sit in that class tomorrow, you know?
So what would be the difference between your campaign and if you know something, do something, whatever, say something?
Well, you know, if you know something, say something. That's basically like somebody on the outside and you seeing something happen, like you may be on a train and somebody leave a suspicious box there and just walk away, instead of you just walking away and not saying nothing and the law forbid to blow up and, you know, you go and say, like, yo, somebody left a box here, you know? But this right here, what I'm saying we must know is we are the parents.
Yeah.
You know, and we're going straight direct from either the school should have somebody there or you should get somebody there. Hire somebody there that as soon as there's a threat made at any school, that they send out an email blast or they get on the phone and start calling parents and start letting parents know that it's been a threat against this establishment, against this institution. It's been a threat here. We don't know how serious it is, but every threat is serious.
And
should
that
be
is,
considered and taken serious.
Yeah.
and that is not the law or procedure or policy.
Well, right now it don't seem like it's nothing because it seems like, you know, they wait until something happens. When the average parent is, like I said, is a part of what's going on and not on the outside looking in. The majority of these teachers, they on the outside looking in, man. It's like a majority of these politicians and all that, they all on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
You get most of these people that run these big programs, these big hospitals and all that, they on the outside looking in. Because if they was really a part of it, they'd know that you can't do nothing without outreach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How you going to reach the people?
Yeah, but I think there are two issues. One is, I assure you the principal called the police because that's protocol, and if the principal didn't, it would have been fired immediately.
Well, we can't say that because in Brooklyn now, I'm going to take it like
Yeah.
this. In Brooklyn just last week, a little girl that was like 14 years old, 13 years old, a couple of guys jumped on her. A matter of fact, it was a little boy. A little boy. They jumped on him and tried to stick their finger inside his anus and all that. He went to the teacher, the principal, and all of them. They did nothing.
That's very
They
serious.
did not tell his mother. His mother found out the next week. And then she went, and now the principal got fired and got arrested.
That was my point,
The
though.
dean got arrested, and assistant principal got arrested. But why wait for that?
Yeah,
We must know.
But that's my point. My point is, if they don't, they get arrested.
Yeah.
And everyone is aware of that.
Yeah.
So at least you have
Yeah,
that.
you got arrested.
What you're saying is different, and I'm going to consider it. I believe in it. I'm going to think about it a little bit. But your point is, as a parent, you should be informed about this.
Yeah, and
you have the right. And that, I think, is arguable to the degree that if you inform enough parents, they might not send their kids to school, even though the school has it under control.
Or one of the
I'll play
parents,
devil's
or one of the
advocate.
parents may know that that's her kid that's doing it. Like I seen him up to something the other day. I went, what, that was you in there?
Yeah.
You know, and they may have the opportunity to
Yeah.
stop something or get that because they know what's going on. But
I
you
would
know-
say on a moral level, as a parent, you have the right to know that.
Yeah, you got the right, and then you know it go back to what you said too, Bob. Now look, they say that the principal, the assistant principal, and the dean got fired. They got arrested, right?
Yeah.
They got arrested and they got suspended, right? But is that gonna bring back 4 dead kids in the class?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So then you know.
So what do you want people to? How do you want people to benefit or join your campaign?
Well, right now, you know, I'm gonna speak to a couple of educators that I know. You know, most definitely gonna speak to you, and see how we gonna go about it, and then we gonna, you know, go around and get a couple of politicians and all that to get behind us, because I really don't see who don't want to get behind knowing which, you know, it was an era where you could just send your kid to school. We had to worry with this.
Yeah.
You know, the most your kid may come back with, he got a little fight. You know, oh, I had a fight at lunchtime and this, that, third. All right, cool. You know, now it's weapons in school. It's people going to school with AR-15s,
Yeah.
shooting 2, 3 with 3, 4 extra magazines in their pocket.
But part of that problem, I'm giving my own editorial opinion now, is the fact that the mayor now has issues in terms of suspending children based upon race. And thus there have been fewer suspensions. And in my opinion, that's incredibly racist because it's saying that some black kid does not have the right to get an education because the other kid is disruptive. Because the other kid's disruptive, whether he's black, white or Martian, he's disrupting instruction and maybe being a bully. So a lot of the educators I speak with, the research I do, really do attribute it to that. In addition, there are large numbers of attacks upon teachers. So the idea that you don't have safe schools, I think what you're doing is really remarkable. I want to really commend you. The fact you don't have safe schools really is to blame of policies, I don't want to call them liberal, they're ideological policies that say when you suspend a kid because the kid is of a certain ethnic background, that's racist. But of course it's not racist to have 25 kids in a class who are also minorities children who now are either being bullied by this kid or being beaten by this kid, or at minimum having their education stopped or prevented or interfered with because of this kid. So I think, and I know politically you're more conservative than people would expect you to be, that you understand this.
Yeah,
so it's not a secret that it's happened. It's happened. 10,000 teachers have been assaulted. 10,000 school staff.
But,
and how many kids?
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. There's another reason for that. It go back to what I said. You're on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Now we got a mayor, right?
Yeah.
The mayor's on the outside looking in. The mayor think he knows something because his girl, because he's married to an African American sister. So he think he know.
Yeah.
You don't know nothing, homeboy, because he's another one on the outside looking in. He's getting people hurt. It's just like he's going to the school and he's running, implementing all these things, and they're letting the same kids back out in there without punishment. These kids is hurting people. The mayor, now here it go again. The mayor on the outside looking in. The mayor never did a second in jail. But he's going to tell the people, that the correction officers, that if a minor assaults somebody, that they can't put them in segregation. So now you got these kids that's in there cutting people up, knocking out the COs, stabbing people up with with big knives and all that, and then they putting them right back in the same dorm. So now you back in the same dorm is you and 4 other people that's all stabbers, and they can't lock y'all up. So now guess what we're going to do? We're going to stab the CO up. So they stab the CO up. The CO's in the hospital. The kids are still right here. You can't lock them up. So guess what we're going to do tomorrow? We're going to stab somebody else tomorrow because they cannot do nothing to us. The mayor's somebody on the outside looking in, and he's getting a whole bunch of people hurt.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying makes so much
a whole
sense.
bunch of people hurt.
Do you ever go to parent-teacher meetings or school board meetings and express those thoughts?
Yes. And I actually I go to parent board meetings, and I actually been on that side in Rikers Island, in the youth center, and know what's going on. Because, like, again, I'm not from the outside looking in. I actually been there and was a part of that. So I know what that is. You know what I'm saying? I know what that is.
So, where do we go from here?
You know, from here, man, we just got to keep on building. And like I said, it's all a part of the community. We got to get the community behind us, man. And the community is behind us. The community support us a lot. The schools support us a lot. Even the universities invite us down to speak.
You are invited down.
Yeah, I go down to the universities and stuff like that. So, we just got to keep on struggling, man, and keep on doing what we got to do. And it ain't about money, because the money going to come. Right now, what we going with our momentum is going to keep our program running.
Absolutely.
And everything just going to fall into place. All money ain't good money. That's one thing my mom used to always say. Look at them people that's accepting the money for NRA.
Yeah, exactly.
That ain't good money. Oh, is you sleeping good at night?
100%.
So, it's all a combination of things that, you want to do. You want to have everything spiritually, emotionally, everything healthy, everything clear mind, focused, and just take it from there.
So one of the programs that we launched together a couple of weeks ago is called, what is it? Constituents Index. And the Constituents Index was launched to address the gap between what special interest group wrote for elected officials, because some of our elected officials, either they are illiterate or they are on opioid or they're completely disconnected with reality.
Outside looking in.
So therefore, and then these are the same people. Every year, the special interest group wrote these statements, and then they expect us, anytime they pass, we clap. Now we're clapping for our own regression, our own demise. So we've decided that, well, let's take it to the street. Let's find out what the neighborhood is saying about these issues that the politicians tout as their progress. And then we divide we divide it in 7 categories, and each category we divide subcategories. So we went to the economics. We talk about jobs, employment, housing. Because when you talk about housing in the Bronx, most of the housings are rental apartments, projects and rental apartments.
Yeah.
So are you building owner occupancy? And if the answer is no, then, you know, you cannot talk about housing.
So you're saying the owner, you want to have more people own.
We want to have...
Because they have a vested interest in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because when you own...
Totally correct.
Your mentality
Totally correct.
change.
Yeah, totally correct.
You know, everything. So,
research-based.
Absolutely. You know, subcategory, you know, economics, employment, owner occupancy, and entrepreneurship activities and stuff like that. Then we go to public safety. Are you safer this year, personally, than last year? Is your business safer this year than last year?
Yeah.
Is your group, meaning, you know, whether you're religious or ethnic or gender or gay or whatever, is your group safer now than last year?
That's right.
Yeah.
Then we go to public health. We compare, is Bronx healthier than other boroughs?
Yeah.
Is Bronx healthier than other counties in the state or the nationally? Where do you rank?
Is it, by the way, I'm curious.
Yeah, we launch it. We launch it.
No, I'm saying, but what's the Bronx compared to the other
Well,
boroughs?
we want the public to we don't want the politicians to read what special interest groups wrote for them. These are the developers who are developing, getting millions of dollars from state, federal, city money, develop low-income housing, but the low-income housing, by the way, is no longer low-income housing. But I don't care even if it's a zero, you charge zero. If people don't have money to pay, they cannot pay even zero, nothing. So it's not about affordability, it's about economic opportunity. People have the ability to earn and have a decent life. So we went to health, public safety, and economics, and you know, everything else. 7 categories, and so far, a lot of people love it. We have a lady who said, I will pay to copy, even if it's 10,000 copies, I will pay for it for residents to fill these questionnaires so that we will take the stock of answers to the politicians.
The reason I'm smiling, Sheik, where do you find enough time in the day to do all this stuff? I mean, no, I'm saying.
We're all community organizers. Our job, and the good thing about
a
us
parent
that
or a husband running a paper, the other stuff.
No, we're independent. You see, we're not
I'm saying it's great stuff.
We're not getting a penny from anybody.
I know that, Sheik, I know that.
They look for every single corner to punish us.
Yeah.
But if you don't give us a penny, how can you punish us? We are doing it from the heart. This is the right thing. Yeah. So now you cannot support us. You can talk to all your links, which they did, by the way. I am 100% in the list, I think at the top maybe top 5%. Don't touch him, don't talk to him, don't help him, don't sign anything. But yet, because we do for the public, we will always continue to grow. And some of them end up going to jail.
How did you two guys meet each other? How did you guys connect?
Same thing, community activism. This December.
And the moment you saw each other, I bet you said,
well, because hearts connect. Because, you know, if you know, when you meet, you know, you're like, you know, it connects. And so that's why a lot of times, you know, even when, you know, when we call a meeting and I put it on Facebook, you know, some of people so active say, don't go to the meeting, don't go because they're going to brainwash, because we're going to brainwash you. Because you've been brainwashed for all your life. Negative. And then you believe that. Let me tell you one thing.
Negative way.
I was invited for the first time to, I think it was a Thanksgiving or Christmas that is organized by one of the elected officials in the Bronx. 2 hours before the door opened, the line. And I said to myself, you're going to get a piece of chicken and some rice that, number one, is not good for you. And you'll be there 2 hours before, and I'm sure you don't volunteer in the schools, you don't do nothing, but you don't miss this Thanksgiving dinner. That's the type of mentality we have here. And that's why we're trying to change it. And constituency index will reflect the reality and the feelings. And whether, you know, but by the way, this is not only elected officials, this is the leadership failure. Religious, community. And politicians.
And family.
And family, of course. And family number one.
I would say
we just want to have informed constituency. Yesterday, as I was saying, when I was reading, I think, City and State, it says senatorial race, Louis Sepulveda won by 89% so far. And now it says 2,000 and something votes. And I say, what? Senatorial district, the winner won by 89% so far, and he got about 2,000 votes.
2,000.
Crime. This is a crime. That's what we want to address.
And it also shows that, you know, how interested people are within the community.
Yeah.
They show a lack of interest in the community because it boils back down to the politicians. They're not making it interesting in the community. You're not providing things for the community that the community want. So when you go out to vote, it's 50,000, 100,000 people in your community, but only 500 people coming out to vote for you. Everybody else really don't care.
But also,
you know,
that does reflect upon the community. So it's not up for the elected official. It's up for the community to say, we're voting for you. So there's nothing the elected official is doing.
See, but
in other words, it's the fact that people should come up, and that's really what your STEM program is all about. The science, technology, engineering, and mathematics part. Do your research. Know what you're talking about. Know what brings jobs into an area. Put your ideology aside. Is this elected official, if he wants to tax businesses, is that going to be good for the community or bad for the community? And there are so many things that are factors that I think have to be addressed. For example, Thomas Sowell is a great economist. He happens to be African American, a guy probably about 80 now, and he's actually helped shape my views because I didn't really understand things till I read him. And one of his points was he wrote a book called "The Politics of Race and Race and Religion." I think I might have titled off, but it's close enough. And in it, he writes that what's good politics might be bad economics. So, for example, if let's say a police officer, and I know some police officers can get carried away, but let's say a police officer smacks around the kid, it would make very good politics, and maybe justice as well, arguably, to go in there and say you shouldn't do that. Would make good economics. What would bring people into a community would be the fact that you have aggressive cops. So if you're like a white guy who wants to go to Harlem, well, Harlem is now probably more white than black, you say, wait a second, is it safe? You're not concerned about the cops. You're concerned about are the cops underly aggressive. And if you have aggressive police officers there, and the thuggy kids are a little afraid of them, maybe more afraid than they should be, but they're afraid of them, that's going to bring people from the outside into shop, and that's going to bring jobs to the community. So some of the stuff, which might not be politically correct, really works in a real sense.
Until like sometime, and then you don't want it to get. It's always a give and a take. But then you get the bunch that want to. Oh, that's aggressive cop. Now they want to be more aggressive and come back at them.
No, but what I'm
saying, you know, it's an elevation.
But what I'm saying is that you're living in the community. So I have a friend. I was teaching a class about 10, 12 years ago, and I had an African American student there. It was a course, I think, on educational philosophy. So he says to me, the only thing that matters is race. That's all that matters. Right? So I said, look, maybe you have to take another class. This is it. Okay. Then I, at the same time, had actually one of my closest friends, a black songwriter, Jamaican songwriter. All right. So the Jamaican songwriter gets stopped by the police, smacked around, sent to jail. It was a terrible thing. So this guy coming, I now want to reach out to him to get some of these black leaders to help out my friend. Right. He then says to me, everything changed. Outside of my house, owns a property in Harlem. These group of kids are making noise. I call the police. They're afraid. So right away, our positions changed. I'm a white guy trying to reach out to this black guy to get a black leader, to get my black friend, happens to be my best friend, the songwriter, some justice. And he now is no longer a guy who's anti-police. He's angry at the police. So I'm saying it becomes a very situational thing. Who would think? By the way, we became quite good friends by the end of the class. We went out for lunch. I stayed in touch with him actually for several years. But it's interesting. The situation makes you change your views overnight. So if you've been mugged, you might say, "What's wrong with the police? They got to." If you've been arrested, so a lot of it is situational.
It's true, especially when it comes down to the.
So we have 2 minutes left. Let's give your contact information.
Well, you contact me at IamMyCommunity@gmail.com or on Facebook. I'm Donnie K. Born Rivers. on Instagram, CUBAN Worldwide, and peace.
Yes, and your contact information.
Mr. Bob 347 at AOL.com. When you run for office, I'm writing a column to support you.
Thank you, brother.
I mean it.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. We have just concluded our very interactive hour-long talk about public safety, quality of life from two dynamic individuals who have backgrounds in such subjects. Anyway, I just want to invite you to our website, peacedecember.org, peacedecember.org. We are nothing but peacemakers. Our goal here is to create environments where all creation can symbiotically coexist. One doesn't have to dominate or eliminate the other to have a good life. As a matter of fact, one supports the other, makes a better community, makes a better neighborhood, makes a better relationship. That is what we try to do here. So two things I want to leave my audience with. This year, in 2018, we want to have two things that are of the most important, elevation to power and prestige and equality. Number one, education. There is nothing as important as education. Now, communities that prioritize education are thriving communities because, the difference between one successful community versus the other is the educational attainment. Therefore, I encourage all of you to support schools that are producing good scholars. Sure. And if they're not, then volunteer to change it. You have that right. Number two, we live in a country where every vote counts. Therefore, your most powerful weapon is not your mouth, it's nothing, it's the vote that you cast for the candidate that meets the criteria that empowers your community. Education and civic participation are the two most empowering aspects of every community. And I encourage you to participate in these two areas, education and civic participation. With that, I thank you very much, and I look forward to our next episode. And this is PEMA, live from the studios of BronzeNet. God bless you.
My peace light shines when I meet love. I get my peace from high above. My peace is strength and shall grow strong. But when we love, it can't be wrong. My peace light shines when I meet hate. I give what I have, leave the rest to fate. My peace light shines deep in my heart to share with all from the start. Peace is the reason I live and love. Peace is the reason I'm speaking of. Peace is the reason I laugh and sing. I come to stand for peace. My peace light shines when I meet love. I get my peace from high above. My peace is strength and shall grow strong. But when we love, it can't be wrong. My peace light shines when I meet hate. My light shines